think it's time for the letting go. I 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 must have been crazy to stand my ground. A queen with no fortune defending her crown. I must have been out of my mind. You think I'd have learned when every road to redemption crossed a bridge that I burned? Oh no, I think it's time for the letting go. I think it's time for the letting go. I think it's time for the letting go. Fists up high, proclaiming my case at the cost of my soul. Oh, such a disgrace to look inside at what I'd become, denying my freedom and enslaving the love that was made, that was made. Well, for the sake of the rest of my life, I'm willing to surrender it all. The resentment and fears, the anger and tears, God, give me the strength to let it all go. I think it's time for the letting go. I think it's time for the letting go. I think it's time for the letting go. Forgiveness was all I had left to heal these wounds and clean up the mess. Salvation, well, it came with no price. The moment I knew I didn't have to be right anymore. For the sake of the rest of my life, yeah, I'm willing to surrender it all. The guilt and the shame, the judgment and blame, God, give me the strength to let it all go, yeah. Let it go for the sake of the rest of my life, my life. I'm willing to surrender it all, it all. The resentment and fears, the anger and tears, for the sake of the rest of my life. I'm willing to surrender it all, it all. The guilt and the shame, the judgment and blame, God, give me the strength to let it all go. I think it's time for the letting go. Yeah, let it go, let it go. I think it's time. I think it's time for the letting go, let it go. I think it's time. I think it's time for the letting go, let it go, let it go, let it go, let it go. I think it's time. I think it's time for the letting go. I think it's time for the letting go. I think it's time for the letting go.
Oh, and God welcome. And welcome to Sacramento Scsl. And a little bit of housekeeping and to begin with. And this service is recorded, but fellowship is not. So be sure and stay with us for fellowship. It's fun, but it's not recorded. And then we have the breakout rooms in our fellowship for chat, and also, not for chat, but for prayer, Science Mind Prayer, 5 minutes, and it's free. So join us later, won't you? And now, if you'll remain in this, in the beautiful letting go, and the springtime was springing forward, and knowing that there's a divine presence right here, right now. And I choose to call this divine presence God. And as I know that God is right here with all of us, I am so grateful to know this. I'm so blessed to be able to be today to introduce our service and have our special message from Reverend Sharon and all that we do here. We're so grateful we are here today, and so it is.
So good morning, everybody. How are we doing? Top of the morning to ya. I think this is there's a lot of green here for some reason. Oh yes, this is the week of St. Patrick's Day. You know, my father was 100% Irish. McDonnell, Robert Elton McDonnell. That was my father. All Irish, which is why my son is a redhead. And of course, then we have the other side of the family, the Portuguese and Hawaiians. So I'm pretty mixed up. Pretty mixed up. We're going to talk about that today. So I want you to take in our beautiful bell, and also thank you, Margie, for that wonderful invocation. That was lovely. And Debbie's going to do our readings.
I am not seeing the slide with the reading on it.
You know, that could be important.
Well, I thought it might be my beautiful technology, which I'm so grateful for.
The leprechaun stole it.
Looks like we're going to have some fun today.
Release, take a breath, release, and let go. Ignorance stays with us until the day of enlightenment, until our vision toward the spirit broadens and casts out the image of a no longer useful littleness. The will should hold it in place until the creative genius of the inner life transforms the image of limitation and transmutes it into liberty under law. We must increase our receptivity, continuously extend and expand our comprehension. We shall declare 100 times a day, there is no limit to the good which is mine. Sometimes our experience of self-confidence is so overwhelming that we forget the limitations by which our lives are surrounded. Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. The dream not interpreted is like a letter from God, not read. Fear keeps us hanging on to what doesn't work in our lives. It also keeps us from surrendering to our good. Surrender has two sides. We surrender all that does not serve us. Then we surrender to our greatest good. And now, relax and join us in our guided meditation on forgiveness with Deepak Chopra.
Affirmation for love and forgiveness. Close your eyes. Become aware of your breathing. Put your awareness in your heart. Now mentally repeat to yourself, I become capable of love and forgiveness by giving love and forgiveness. I'm capable of love and forgiveness by giving love and forgiveness. I practice attention, which is listening, affection, which is caring, appreciation, noticing the good in others, attention, affection, appreciation, attention, affection, appreciation. This is how I become capable of love and forgiveness. And slowly open your eyes.
Well, you all know how I feel about him. Well, good morning, good morning, good morning. I'm actually going to start today with a land acknowledgement. We acknowledge the indigenous peoples of this land who have lived here since time immemorial. Sacramento is the ancestral tribal land of the Nisenan people. We also honor the Southern Maidu people to the north, the Valley and Plains Miwok and Miwok people to the south of the American River, and the Patwin Wintun people to the west of the Sacramento River. Good morning. So, the week of St. Patty's Day, one of my favorite weeks. They're always my favorite weeks. And today we are talking about release and let go. You may have gotten that from the music that we played, the meditation, and Laura Berman's beautiful song about, and I saw Reverend Patricia jumping around because she loves Laura so much. And it's fun to see Reverend Patricia jump around. In fact, if you want to see more of Reverend Patricia jumping around, she will actually be speaking, oh my gosh, drum roll, on March 28th. And who will be performing with her? Oh my goodness. That might be Doug Van Workum. And I don't think we're going to be any happier to get to that Sunday and see the two of them taking us deep into our spiritual celebration for Sunday. So, I just want to let you know and remind you of our annual theme because I really love it. It is timeless wisdom and evolutionary vision. I knew from the beginning of the year that it was going to be a great year because of that beautiful theme that came out of visioning. And today, though we talk about release and let go, we also have a monthly theme of open to possibilities. Now, I personally want to stay in that monthly theme all year as well. So I invite you to do that. So today we're talking about release and let go. And I want to say that all mistakes are due to the ignorance of not knowing. What do you think of that? All mistakes, which is what our teaching calls sin, isn't it? Ernest Holmes refers to sin as mistake or missing the mark, meaning that with wisdom we can rise up from those mistakes. So all mistakes are due to the ignorance of not knowing. And what the heck are we supposed to know? Well, what we're supposed to know is that we are perfect, complete, and whole. And when we align to that truth, we have salvation. Another word that's tricky. I think salvation might get a bad rap. I don't know how you feel, but there are certain religions that nail us to the idea of salvation in a way that we actually don't see it that way. For us, salvation is the preservation or deliverance from harm, from ruin, from loss, and from mistakes. That's a good word. I'm putting it back in my vocabulary. I heard Laura Berman singing about salvation, and I thought, I know what she's singing. I know what she's saying. She's saying that we can be free, be preserved from our loss. So when your attention where your attention goes, Ernest Holmes says, energy flows and manifestation follows. Where your attention goes, energy flows and manifestation follows. So I'm going to talk about 3 things today: holding on, release, and making room. Sound like a good plan, right? So it's not easy to release our troubles or give up things we resent and regret. Because why? Because we're going to have to replace them with something. We're going to have to replace them with, what are we replacing them with? Well, we have to change our thinking. There's that word change. We might have to change. We might have to change. And if we're giving up our resentment, we're going to have to create a mental equivalent to replace it. Now, you might have heard through the grapevine, or maybe on our beautiful website that Jaime did for us, that there's an upcoming class on mental equivalent. And it starts April 1st, no joke. But we have to replace what we let go of with something. When it comes to a resentment, when it comes to our troubles. And so we have to get an idea of what it is we want to replace it with. And the wonderful thing that we can do as a spiritual practice that is our focus is visioning, the practice of visioning, meaning allowing spirit to inform us as to what it is we'd like to replace it with. In other words, we're replacing it with what? Our good. We are replacing it with our good. And so we might want to get an image of that good. We might want to get a vision of what that good is. And so we have to create a mental equivalent. So here's an example. I'm mad at you. I mean, not really, but I'm mad at you. So I forgive you. That brings peace and love. What does peace and love feel like? Taste like? Smell like? Are there images for peace and love? Because remember, I've just had a resentment. I just had a resentment. So, it's not like we can just, those dandelion flowers, those flowers that you blow and they disperse into the wind. Well, they're seeds, aren't they? Within each seed is everything. So if I'm mad at you or I have a resentment and I replace it with love, I'm going to have to know what that feels like. What is that? I need a mental equivalent. And so what I have to do, if it is a human being that I am releasing or letting go a resentment of, I've got to look at you in a different way. That could be a situation, circumstance, and condition as well. It could be a poverty consciousness. It could be fear. It could be anything that we would like to let go of. It can be someone's opinion of us. It could be anything that we would like to let go of. Well, then I'm going to have to figure out what it looks like to have that released. What does it look like to have a mental equivalent? And one example, I had to let go of a relationship. And I had to create a mental equivalent because my intention was to love that person. And so I had to start thinking of all the things that I love about that person. I had to do that extra step. And then I had to really think long and hard. Well, what are the attributes? What are the talents? What are the natural gifts that that person has? And I had to recognize that so that I can put that where I'm letting go. Easier to be troubled and resentful, wouldn't you say? I mean, because this takes time. What did I say? I said all mistakes are due to the ignorance of not knowing. And isn't it a lovely place to be in, that ignorance? We don't have to do anything. We don't have to do anything. We don't have to spend time visioning. We don't have to create another mental equivalent. But oh my goodness, when you have a vision of God's idea of itself, you can never forget it. It is so much easier to hang on to God's idea of itself as the vision, as your mental equivalent, than it is to hold on to a resentment or some trouble. Isn't that funny? Once you get a sense of loving that person or that situation or that condition, or loving yourself without that condition or situation or circumstance, you can never not know. Once you know, we cannot not know. We cannot unknow. I don't know if unknow is a word. The unknown. Yes, of course it is. Darn it. I was hoping I was making up words again. We can ask for help by listening to spirit. Now, are we asking for help from something outside ourselves? No. We are asking for help from infinite wisdom within. Infinite wisdom within. The idea that there's a spiritual solution to every problem is demonstrated when we work to manifest visions for our personal life and beyond our life, because we want to vision for life beyond our life. We envision a worldwide culture in which forgiveness, whether for errors, injustices, or debts, is the norm. We believe the ultimate goal of life to be a complete emancipation from all discord of every nature, and that goal is sure to be attained by all. There you go. I was wondering if you were still awake since we got here a little early this morning. Don't you love daylight savings time? And so release. Release is not based on what we choose to release, but on Spirit's highest idea revealing itself. You know, I looked at this, I really kind of had a revelation this week because sometimes when I'm visioning and I say, what must I release? I start making up what I have to release. I didn't really relate to this until this week, honestly. And how long have I been in the teaching? That I'm not looking at myself as what do I have to release or what do I have to become? I'm listening for Spirit's idea of what I am to release. Now I'm scared because I thought, you know, kind of like when I'm visioning, I'm really thinking, what must I release? Oh, I don't want to do that anymore. Oh, what must I release? You know, I've been wanting to get rid of that habit for quite a while. I'm starting to have these conversations and kind of coming out of the listening. All of a sudden I'm talking that monkey mind's telling, you know, the stories and all of that. But envisioning it, we're to listen. We might hear something that we have no idea about that we are now ready to release and let go of because Spirit's idea of itself says so. So now I want to start all over in my visioning practice with just, how about this? Sitting and visioning and just forgetting the questions that we usually ask and just sitting there waiting, meditating, listening, relaxing, and then dropping in the question, what is God's idea of itself as to what I need to become? What do I need to release in order to be the vision of God's idea of my life? I'm starting a whole new visioning practice. Are you with me? Do you ever do your visioning and kind of and drop that question, what must I release, and start the chatter of what you think you should release? This just dawned on me. I'm just like, Sharon, you wake up surprised every day, don't you? You wake up surprised every day because I go from ignorance to knowing. Ignorance, there's no shame in ignorance. Ignorance is simply not knowing. So our work is to be still, listen to the voice within, and follow. There's that follow its guidance part. Doggone it. Michael Beckwith says that 100% of spiritual growth is in the letting go. Michael Beckwith is pretty much the author of the spiritual practice of visioning. Just the practice, not the spiritual aspect of it. We're all authors of that. Spirit is author of itself. But some of us get a download and bring it to the world so that everybody can know. And that's what Michael Beckwith does. But can you imagine when he says 100% of spiritual growth is in the letting go? What is the one thing we like to do least of? Letting go of what we think we know. I mean, we have an entire know system. We have an entire, I mean, we know that we know. And when we have to change that knowing, my goodness, we might have to change our thinking. We might have to create a mental equivalent. And he goes on to say all beginning and more advanced levels of spiritual growth are, oh no, not about getting. Doggone it. It's not about getting, is it? Our spiritual growth is not about getting something. So if you're visioning for something material that you want, that's okay. I like doing that because when it proves itself, then I go for bigger things like joy, happiness, peace, wisdom, life. As spirit fills our being with the truth, we can relax, release, and let go of all that is no longer needed. We hear that kind of jargon, don't we? I'm going to let go of what's no longer needed, what no longer serves my life. Guys, name one thing in your life that is not serving you anymore. Just one thing. One thing. And how about this? All beginning and more advanced levels of spiritual growth are not about getting, but rather about letting go and allowing spirit to fill that space. How about creating a life that you were destined to live? How about living your bliss? How about living for the reason and the purpose and the mission that you came here for? Spirit, beam me down. And then let me not live for naught. Spirit, beam me down, but let me not live for naught. And it's okay when we wake up all of a sudden with new wisdom. Like, I could have had a V8 all this time. I could have let spirit inform me about what I'm supposed to be letting go of or releasing or becoming. How about making room? You know, I tell people, I think I said this last week about how I love thrift shopping. It's one of my favorite things because I like new things. But I would rather have something new that costs me $2.80 than $50.80 because I get bored easily with new things. Like, so clothing. I was really happy to find this really nice green shirt. But after a while, I'll return it to where I got it. I'll make room. And then I'll no doubt come home with something new again, new to me. Making room is a wonderful thing. Making room for new. Releasing is about making room for a greater good to be expressed or received, for change to take place, and for healing. And what is healing? Healing is revealing. There's nothing to be healed, only God to be revealed. And we just finished an amazing class, Revealing Wholeness. And that kind of is my mantra now. What am I revealing? Wholeness. So if I'm going to make room in my life, I'm going to make room for spiritual principle to come from seed and bloom like these beautiful trees we're seeing blooming all over town. These cherry blossoms in white and pink, and oh my goodness, don't stay in the house too long during the pandemic. You go outside and it's a whole new world. It's quite shocking. Releasing removes obstacles and impediments, an impediment in the way of living the vision. Releasing and embracing are where our work lies when it comes to manifesting our vision. There's Jim. Good to see you. Through visioning for what we need to be released, we set the stage for revealing greater good. And that, my friends, is something that I'm very interested in. I am ready for my good. Who's ready for your good? Raise your hand if you have one thing you could release or let go of that would make room for more good. Oh my goodness, look at us. Oh my goodness, this is exciting. So let's talk marital resentment. Let's talk marital resentment. How about relationship resentment? Let's talk partner relationship resentment. How about friendship resentment? Family. Oh, that's my favorite. Family. Don't you love them? If that isn't a spiritual practice, nothing is. So my marriage didn't work until I understood that marriage is a 4-letter word. Give. Doggone it, as my father used to say. He was Irish, I told you. 100%. You know, he was a screamer. Give. When I stopped being about getting, I want this, I want that. I'm not getting my needs met. I've told you this story before. I'm not getting, that was my favorite statement coming out of the women's movement. I'm not getting my needs met. Well, that was just a challenge to my husband. Well, I'm not giving your needs met. Well, I'm not getting. Well, I'm not giving. Well, I'm not getting. And then when I decided that wasn't going to work, I was just going to give. And I made room by letting go of my needing to get my needs met. It was kind of an experiment. I was told to do this. Why don't you just experiment? Just let go of needing and getting for a minute. Just for a minute, and try giving. And I'm like, attitude, whatever. We used to do that, right? Whatever. And it was like instant. It was instant. I mean, I would look around going, what in the world? When I started just giving, all my needs were met. It's a wild idea. It's a wild idea. So last but not least, I want to talk about Howie. My prayer partner just told me, I love it that you call God Howie, because it reminds me that I don't need to know how. God knows how. I don't need to know what will happen to me if I let go. Do I have to move? Do I have to give up my home? Do I have to give up a belief system? Oh my. Will there be annihilation? Will I live? Will I run out of money? Will I lose my job? Will I have to? Oh my gosh, I'm still paying my student loan and you're asking me to give up that vocation that just I hate? I got it wrong. I went to college to be this and now I want to be that. I have to give up family. You don't give up family. We're blood. We're blood. You can't give up family. You're not giving up family. You're giving up troubles and resentment and difficulties.
Hold on.
You're not giving up. You're making room. Isn't that a wonderful idea? And you're making room for what? You're making room for what is our month infinite possibility? Is that what we're open to possibility in March? Are we really open to possibility, or are we scared to death to change that one thing that is troubling us? Do you trust that you are that is? Do you trust the one that created you, that stamped its infinite intelligence on you, that you're literally stamped with its love and light and prosperity and abundance and joy and peace and wisdom and all that's good? Keep your attention on this question long enough to receive the insight. Keep your attention on the question that you're doing envisioning. What is God's idea of itself as what I need to release and let go of? And then when I start to hear that, I know I've been trying to work on that. I know I've been trying to work. Well, if you know, then that's not new. We're listening for that new idea, aren't we? We're listening for Spirit's idea of itself, the open to possibilities, the bigger, the infinite idea. Well, I've been doing that this week. We manifest the vision by committing to embrace the conscious and creative mind. You know that one thing you're ready to let go of? Are you ready to let go? Let me see your hands if you're ready to let go. Well, here's an idea. Our lead practitioner, our amazing lead practitioner, our ministerial graduate, like pretty soon we are going to be calling her Reverend Debbie. Whoa! Guess what she's doing? She is doing Wisdom Wednesday on visioning. How would you like to bring that thing? Bring that thing. Bring that thing that you would like to let go of, and let this beautiful being of light lead you to the answers that are within you. Let us pray. There's a spirit. There's one. Oh my heavens. Called by so many names. Called by so many names. Because sentient beings know there is something bigger than ourselves at play. Something bigger than ourselves that creates everything out of itself. And as we look on Facebook, and people are sharing these exotic birds and these exotic flowers and these beautiful sunsets on these beautiful Yosemite and Yellowstone and buffaloes and creatures under the sea. There is something creating everything out of itself that is good. And I am of that good. And that good then is who I am and who all of us are, and it connects all of us to each other. I mean, I am connected to that buffalo. I am connected to that sunset. I am one with those sea creatures. I am one with those on the invisible side of life that continue living and expanding in consciousness. I am one with those who will meet me on the other side of life when it's my turn. I am so grateful to know my good. And right here and right now, I'm like sending an invitation right now to know more, to let go and release my ignorance and open to the unimaginable, the wild imaginings of what's possible in my life. I am free of trouble. I am free of resentment. I am free of condition. I am free of circumstance. I am free. I am free. My salvation is my good. Oh my goodness. I have never felt so much love for the word salvation until this very moment. My salvation, which is the preservation of my good, is a wonderful, wonderful thing. And I invite it, I declare it, I claim it, and I am so grateful that all of us know this, because what is known in my mind is known to all. There's only one mind. And so I simply give thanks for this prayer that has changed my life and changed the life of others, changed the life of the life beyond. And I release my word into the law with a hallelujah, a gratitude, a shout out to Howie, because that's the law. And please join me if you agree by affirming as we say, and so it is. Shalom. On Shanti. Hallelujah.
I'm sorry, please forgive me. Thank you, I love you. I'm sorry, please forgive me. Thank you, I love you. I'm sorry, please forgive me. Thank you, mahalo, I love you. I'm sorry, please forgive me. Thank you, mahalo, I love you. I'm sorry.
That's me. So this is our offering time. I mean, we are just offer you so many times, so many different ways that you can give. And because we receive, and we cannot receive what we're willing to give. And so we can go to our beautiful new website, scsl.org. We can click donate button, and thanks to Jaime, we can now go to our website and click on the Amazon Smile. And we order. So how great is that? Just think about that. You could go to Amazon shop and you could smile. By also, when you do that, because it also gives a portion of what you're spending to the center. I just think that's incredible. You can also send your personal check to the address that is shown on the screen. You know, so please stay muted as we say our abundance affirmation. Abiding by the law of circulation and in heartfelt gratitude, I affirm that I live in a creative and abundant universe that continuously flows in, through, and out as me, expressing as the ever-expanding infinite good. And so it is.
Bottom of the morning to ya. Yes, indeed. I have been asked as your announcement leprechaun this morning to entertain you wildly without somehow going too far and alienating you with my over-the-top, very sketchy Irish accent. So there is a food drive, and the food drive is, well, it's green, so you can tell that it's excellent. You can tell by the logo and the month of March and the greenness of it. Show up with food, bring it along, and feed the homeless, but please, no potatoes of any kind. We've had enough of that. Let's see what's next. Wisdom Wednesdays. Now, I am extremely excited about this because it is Debbie Putman, who is, as we just heard, almost a minister, basically a minister, and she is going to bring us to the vision of our highest good. And I'm a leprechaun, so I am more of the lowest good, but that's all right. I'm very lucky. And listen, let me also say at this time, well, I will go on. Mental equivalence, we've heard all about that from the Reverend, the great, right, very Reverend Sharon Dunn. Go to the class, be there, and April 1st is a lucky and strange day to start. And before we go to this, let me just flag for you a very special event next weekend. Next Sunday is an especially lucky, especially special day where we are going to have a surprise, something that has never been done in the Sacramento Center for Spiritual Living before, something that will engage you possibly even more than a leprechaun who is over the top and isn't supposed to be. So now check out our website, which we now know is amazing. Check out everything we are doing. Come to everything. Be with us anytime you want. We love you. And be lucky.
There was a time in my life, thought I had to do it all for myself. Didn't know the grace of God was sufficient. I didn't know the love of God was at hand. But now I can say day. Gotta let it go. Gotta let it all go. Are you listening? Yeah. You got to let it all go. And this is what you have to say. I release and I let go. Let the Spirit run my life. And my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith, I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Oh, I release and I let go. Let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith, I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Oh, I release and I let go. Let the Spirit run my life. And my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith, I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Oh, I am free in the Spirit. Yeah. Do you want to be free? Then let me hear you say yes. Yes, I'm only here for God. I know.
Woo! Yes, and we are here for God. And here's our affirmation for the week. The more I release, the more good I experience. So it is. And now for our prayer request. There's 2 ways that you can do the prayer request, and you could send it via the chat on that's on your screen through Scsl. It's becoming, it's very available, and there's great opportunity to have a special prayer request. Thank you. And also stay with us at the end, and we'll give you a 5-minute prayer break privately. Thank you. And now for our benediction, just take a breath. Wow, what a great service. And knowing that we are blessed and we are grateful for the service, for Reverend Sharon, our leader, who is awesome and leads us every Sunday, and our thriving and our future and our visioning and everything, and our music and our practitioners and our ministers and everything that we have at our production of. Thank you. And stay tuned, and so it is. Thank you.